Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. We'll start shortly. In the meanwhile, if you have just joined, please do share and let us know where you're joining from. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. We will start shortly. In the meanwhile, if you've just joined in, please do let us know where you are joining from in the chat window. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We will start in a couple of minutes. Just bear with us and do let us know in the meanwhile if you have not done so already where you are joining from. All right. Good morning, everyone. If you have just joined in, please do share your name and where you are joining from in the chat window. My name is Praveen Jangira, and I will be your host for today's webinar. Let's just give another minute, and then we can start with the webinar. All right, let's get going. Good morning, everyone, once again. My name is Praveen Jangira, and I'm your host for today's webinar. We all know technology has been changing rapidly. While it brings a lot of opportunities, it creates larger threats as well at the same time. COVID-19 or coronavirus, as we all know, has changed the IT dynamics. On one hand, the cyber attacks have increased. On the other, our employees and teams have become more vulnerable to cyber attacks and data leaks due to remote working. While you cannot change how hackers use technology, however, what you can definitely change is how you use technology and secure your employees and organizational assets. In today's webinar, we will talk about privilege accounts and why they are keys to the organizational kingdom. With that, let me introduce you to our presenter today. Vijay has over 20 years of experience in the field of cybersecurity, IT service management, and program management. He has worked in multiple domains, market verticals, and enterprises like Fidelity International, SmithKline Beecham, and others where he has handled large global projects. He holds progressive experience in various identity and access management tools and products like BMC, Microfocus, CyberArk, and many others. On personal front, Vijay is an avid adventure enthusiast. He's an avid traveler and off-roader as well, always ready for an adventure. For the benefit of the presenter and the participants, let's ensure we follow a few basic housekeeping rules. Request everyone to be on mute during the presentation. If you have any doubts or issues, please use the chat window. This webinar is being recorded and the link will be shared with the participants via email. Please make use of the chat window to submit any questions if you have during or at the end of the presentation. And this webinar is scheduled for 45 minutes and we would like to finish on time. So let's make the best use of the time. With that, and without making any more delays, let's get started. And let me invite Vijay to start the webinar for the day. Vijay?
Thanks, Praveen. Hope
Right,
you
Vijay,
guys can.
it's all yours.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hope you guys can hear me loud and if you can see my video as well. In the interest of the webinar and the saving the bandwidth, I would be switching off the video shortly. And okay, so as Praveen mentioned that privilege accounts are critical to any organization, and today in the webinar, I will be, giving you a sneak preview into the world of privilege accounts, how they are critical to any organization. how they are vulnerable also for any type of cyber attack, and what sort of options and solutions are available in the industry. And we will pick and choose the CyberArk in the interest of the webinar today, and how CyberArk can help manage the privilege access within an organization. So let's move to the next slide, Praveen. So as I mentioned earlier, so the agenda for today is privileges. What are they? Privilege accounts. Where are they? Present. What sort of risk they associate with themselves vis-a-vis the security in the system. Cyber attack life cycle and the role of privilege access within a successful cyber attack. Features of a privilege account management solution. And then we'll talk about the CyberArk privilege account management solution and various components around it. And there will be some questions. I believe in the interest of the webinar and the timelines, you guys can post your questions during the session in the chat window, and we'll pick up the questions after the webinar is over. And if there are questions which are unanswered, we can respond to you through an email as well. Moving to the next slide, please. So why keys to the IT kingdom or keys to the kingdom? So let's say if you are trying to break into a bank, would you rather go through the trouble of evading the physical and digital security measures, like security guards, door access, vault, passcodes, and surveillance? Or would you rather obtain the keys to the bank and pose as a trusted insider, maybe a employee of the bank, and then walk to the vault of the bank and perform the robbery? Of course, the answer is obvious for most. Posing as an employee of the bank will certainly save the time in your robbery. Yeah. The same psychology applies to the cyber criminals also. When it comes to breaching your data, they aren't worried about bypassing your parameters. Once they have found a mean to get into your network, either on the endpoint, either through an application to a web server, they will use the privilege account, and they can access any resource in the network. So humans hold the keys to the kingdom, and they are the weakest link. So let's progress further and start understanding what is privilege access. Next slide, please. Okay. I'm sure you must have seen this term in your organization. So there are non-user accounts which, as a normal user, I will have access to, maybe to my email, to my network share drives. Along with that, I may have access to other accounts which are non-human, which are application accounts, maybe network device accounts, system admin accounts, and which provide me additional access to various critical systems and applications. So privilege access is a type of administrative and super user access that allows users to have a full control of critical computer systems and applications anywhere in the enterprise. And privilege accounts are different from your normal user accounts. For example, you will be able to install or remove software with the help of a privilege account. It could be a local admin account. It could be a account created by your IT team for you to perform these activities. It could be an account with the privileges to modify system and the application configuration. these accounts are so as I was saying that attackers can compromise these privileged accounts and move within your organization and take control of your applications and valuable assets within the organization. Why privileged accounts are important to protect? In the current scenario where a lot of organizations are moving to cloud, a lot of robotic applications, robotic processes are being introduced, and a lot of these such generic privilege accounts are being utilized in the application lifecycle. It is very important and critical to manage and maintain these accounts, to have proper accountability, or otherwise, these can create a havoc in the day-to-day functioning of the organization due to the vulnerability it brings in along with them in any organization. Praveen, can you move to the next slide? So why privilege accounts are so vulnerable to attacks? So as I mentioned that privilege accounts can be utilized by insider threats or external adversaries with malintent to get access to your information assets and create Am I audible? Sorry, I just had a.
Yes, Vijay, you are.
Okay,
Please go ahead.
thank you. Yeah. Why securing privilege access is important, and why it should be prioritized is not only critical in your organization. If you are a new organization or a growing business, your application and infrastructure will be growing and getting complex. It is always difficult to identify which of your informations are sensitive and important. Yeah. And typically in any organization, the number of privilege accounts are in an average, it's equal and over above. Let's say if you have the number of privilege accounts available in the environment would be 3 times or 4 times to the number of employees. That's because the accounts will be present in the databases, present in the various systems, root accounts, local admin accounts, domain admin accounts, web server accounts, and they all pose threat if at all they are not managed properly, they are not tracked properly, and in an organization where these many accounts are present, privileged users are very difficult to manage. They are open for insider threats. Their permission might have evolved over a period of time. People might have moved from one role to another within the organization, and they have had access to these privileged accounts, and they also have been evolved over a period of time. So cyber criminals, whenever they target any organization, their first and foremost interest is to get access to any available privilege access and use that privilege access to further infiltrate within the network, within the organization, to achieve their objective, which is typically to get hold of your information data assets. Let's move to the next slide, Praveen. So whenever you are working with the privilege accounts, you need to start thinking like an attacker. What will an attacker do if he gets an access to one of the privilege access or privilege account in the organization. Think what a hacker could do with all your unmanaged privilege accounts. Yeah. So if you are working with privilege access and trying to manage the privilege access on organization, it helps that a attacker would definitely try and find or use the privilege access to elevate his access and start moving laterally in the environment. So whenever you are looking at managing the privilege accounts, think like an attacker. Let's say once an attacker has infiltrated in your network, the attacker will try to escalate his privileges and he will try to move laterally in the network to achieve his objectives. You may have implemented a lot of controls within your network, be it in network segmentation, internal firewalls, application rules. But once the hacker is able to gain access to your privilege accounts, he becomes a legitimate user in your network, then he can do whatever the account is authorized to do so. Now, in the current scenario, there are various techniques which the hackers have developed to exploit various vulnerabilities in your network, applications, endpoints, to gain access to various resources on your which are available in your network. Yeah. For example, a hacker can chain two vulnerabilities to gain access to your application or maybe a website. Some of the vulnerabilities, which I can talk about are username enumeration and brute force login. Username enumeration is basically, if you are using an app like Instagram or a Facebook, an attacker can randomly start using usernames tagged to a URL and start hitting it and looking for any user account which is available or which is open in an application. Once, let's say, if the person is able to match or the attacker is able to match a username, then the next step the attacker will use is the brute force login, which is trying to generate a random password which can be associated with the user ID. So typically, if you see in any application these days, you will find that whenever you log in, there will be either be an additional step associated during the login process, which will be while please enter a CAPTCHA or maybe a OTP. Although there are various techniques or options which are available to even bypass the multi-factor authentication, but these are some of the basic rules which you can apply while working with these kind of vulnerability. In addition to this, privilege access is exploited in nearly every cyber attack. Bad actors can use privilege access to disable security systems, take control of critical IT infrastructure, and gain access to confidential business data and personal information. Majority of these attacks involve use of privilege accounts and credential at some point in time in the attack chain. Using a privilege account and credential is an absolute requirement in order to successfully carry out an attack. So let's assume, you have implemented pretty much everything on your perimeter vis-a-vis a firewall, access rules, etc. But then somebody in your organization clicks on a phishing link, and that phishing link deploys a malware on the endpoint. In addition to that, that gentleman who has clicked on this malware has a local admin privilege on that endpoint. So now that attacker is able to execute that malware on the endpoint, he now has similar access what you have on your endpoint. In order to that, let's say in addition to this, let's say if that gentleman, the internal employee, has access to domain controllers, to to connect to a domain controller, see what kind of security hole it can create, or the risk it possesses to the enterprise. So what I was trying to highlight is, means that if you are working with the privileged accounts, whether you are planning to implement any solution, whether you are part of a security ops team, think like an attacker. What an attacker would try to do, that definitely will help to put the right controls at the right places. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, now I'm not sure how many of you are aware of a cyber kill chain. Actually, this is a model which was developed by Lockheed Martin, and this was used for identification and prevention of cyber intrusion activities. So, so typically there are 7 steps in a cyber attack. The 7 steps of the cyber kill chain enhance visibility into an attack and enrich and people involved in the cyber security understanding of a adverse practice techniques and procedures, which is called TTP, while the attack is being performed. So in any attack, these are the 7 phases which are there: reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and actions on objective. So the first phase, reconnaissance, is the initial phase where a attacker is trying to identify, which organization I should target. Let's say after they've identified a bank, so now the next step would be to do a little more reconnaissance and find out, more from who all are could be the potential targets. So let's say, the attacker might go and do a simple search in the LinkedIn to find out people working in the risk department, in the IT department, people who might have privileged access, people working with in some of the business critical functions like treasury or any other area. So, and then they start targeting those users either through phishing campaign or sending emails, etc. So this is covered under a term called open source intelligence, OSINT. If at all you get chance, then look through this osint.org. You will find plenty of information which is available, and this information is available for cyber security professionals as a normal technology professionals, as well as to the hackers also. So you can go and look for typical usernames which will be available, the DNS names, various URLs which are available. If, let's say, there are vulnerabilities found by any of these adversaries in, let's say, a web server of a bank, they will publish it somewhere in the dark web. So all this information is available, and this is utilized during the reconnaissance phase. The next phase is weaponization, where once a target is identified, then the exploits like phishing, malware, and other techniques are used to actually deliver the payload. Yeah. Once the weaponization happens, once the person identifies ways and means of sending this malware or any other modes to infiltrate the network, the next phase is the delivery phase. It could be phishing link, it could be through USB, it could be through various malicious website links, which the attacker can send. And let's say if during these campaigns, that's what they call, or if you have seen the various cybersecurity journal, you will see that during the COVID, the recent COVID pandemic, lot of such campaigns were being executed by various underground hacking groups. You must have received WHO emails with the phishing link and the malware attached to those emails. Yeah. So let's say now the delivery is also identified. The next part is the exploitation. So the mail campaign starts, and if during that process one of the employee clicks on the link or clicks on any of the attachments sent through an email, and if the systems are not patched properly, if there are backdoors which are there, then that exploit will be utilized. The next phase is the installation, where the attacker will then take the will sit quietly in the either in the endpoint or in the web server, and then the attacker will start looking at options and opportunities to move laterally into the environment. That could be by using the privileges, that could be definitely by using the privileges, and by other ways and means to laterally move in the environment. So the next phase is the command and control, where the attacker actually gets the access to, let's say, your domain controller or any other information asset, and then it moves to the next phase where the actions, which is called action on objective, which is basically once they have taken the control over your information asset, either they will encrypt if it is a ransomware, or the data is then sent out of the network. Maybe it is published in some underground website, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So this gives you a good view of what is a cyber kill chain, how cyber attacks actually takes place, what are various phases into it, and if you see, once the intruder is inside your network, he would definitely need access to your privilege accounts to actually move laterally in your network. So securing, managing, maintaining privilege access is critical and key to any organization. Let's move to the next slide.
We are already over the half mark, so just
Sure.
keeping you ahead of that.
Okay, so as I've explained, means what are the phases, how the cyber attack happens. So this slide talks about where the privilege accounts are used, and how the escalated privileges actually impact the attack chain, and how any privilege access management tool like CyberArk or any other tool can help break this chain. So typically in a cyber attack, attacker would spend on an average 99 plus days in your network. And it used to be a couple of years back, 160 plus days, but now, various additional tools, techniques, people have become smarter, and they are spending less time, in the reconnaissance phase, and they get access to your privilege accounts. They get into your network, and then probably they are, picked up by either your SIM tool or by some, additional monitoring which is in place. So let's try and understand what they are trying to do while they have gained access to your network, either through phishing or malware injections. Once inside the network, they work in circular pattern, where they are escalating privileges, performing reconnaissance, and laterally moving in order to gain additional credentials that ultimately give them access to achieve their objective. So a PAM solution like CyberArk can help you break this chain. Yeah. In the next section, we'll talk about the various features and functionalities of a PAM solution and how it can help break this cyber attack chain. Let's move to the next one. So These are some of the key features and benefits of implementing a privileged access management solution. I will not go into the detail, but at a very high level. So typically, a PAM solution will have a password vaulting option, which means that all your passwords will be managed and maintained at a central base. So which eliminates the need for people to keep track, manage them separately in the various databases. The next one is password change and generation. Again, it is linked to password management, where the password is rotated based on the policy which you will implement, the complexity policy, the expiry policy, the aging policy. So all that is managed, by the PAM solution. Target system grouping and detection is another feature of a PAM solution. Of course, CyberArk has all these features, which is basically you can create groups, you can create platforms, so like Linux, Windows, databases, etc. And then you can apply policies, for these groups, and it's easier for day-to-day management of privileged access within these target systems. Similarly, there are other features. I will skip some of these as these are very generic. But two critical features of PAM are session management, auditing, and reporting, which helps any organization in managing the internal and external audits, and build robust control around privileged access. In the session management feature, so whenever a session is created between a source and the target system, so the PAM solution provides the feature to record that session, as well as isolate that session between the systems. We'll talk about in detail in one of these slides. Let's move to the next.
Sure, Vijay. And we will have to finish in 5 minutes, Vijay, keeping the time in mind.
Yes, I think we'll be able to.
Sure.
Yeah. So CyberArk is the market share leader and trusted expert in privileged access management. They have almost 2 decades of experience in the market. So if you see the graph, over the period of time, they have evolved, and they have the product has been, they have all the products have matured, responding to what the market is expecting and what is the market requirement vis-a-vis the privileged access security. The CyberArk privileged access security solution provides the comprehensive protection, monitoring, detection, alerting, and reporting required to stay ahead of the attackers and safeguard any organization most critical assets, which could be applications, databases, or any other information asset. Praveen, let's move to the next one. Okay, so this, so let's spend a minute or so in talking about the CyberArk solution in detail. So it is designed from ground up for security. As I said, it has evolved over a period of time, in last 2 decades. CyberArk has combined a powerful underlying infrastructure with its core products to provide the most comprehensive solution for any size of solution, whether it is on-prem, whether it is on cloud, or it is running on a hybrid kind of a solution. There are various components within the CyberArk solution. Some of are listed in this slide. LRO for remote vendor access to the organization. Application access management or access manager is for managing like your DevOps lifecycle, either on cloud or on prem. So each product solves a different requirement for privileged access management, and all are designed to work together to provide a complete secure solution for operating systems, endpoint servers, databases, application, network devices, security appliances, and so on and so forth. Praveen, let's move to the next one. Yeah, so in the interest of the time, I will skip this, but these are some of the solution benefits which you get and which are typically very important for any organization, either planning to implement any PAM solution or struggling to manage the privilege access management within their network. Praveen, let's move to the next one. Yeah, so I'll cover only features which I talked about in the PAM. So why CyberArk is a differentiator, why CyberArk has a edge over other PAM solution. So one of the key feature of CyberArk is credential management, in simple words, password management, where you can implement a centralized solution which will manage all your passwords for all your privilege accounts. So it's not, or you can integrate with the, for all your accounts, but in an organization, typically you would want to have this kind of control for your privilege accounts as well as the accounts which could potentially help any attacker to infiltrate in your network. So it eliminates the need of keeping a track of password rotation, expiry, and other attributes of password related activities. Praveen, let's move to the next one.
Sure, Vijay, and maybe you can wrap up in another minute.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is the critical which I wanted to highlight, the session isolation. One of the key functionality of CyberArk solution is to help isolate privileged user sessions and enforce strong access controls to protect critical systems from malicious users and devices. And this can be achieved by physically separating user endpoint from critical target systems via secure hardening jump server. So basically a jump server is introduced and that is used to establish connection to the and servers. By this, one can ensure that malware on an infected user device is unable to reach critical systems. The secure jump server also establishes a single point of access control from which you can grant privilege access without ever exposing your credentials to users or their machines. As a result, CyberArk solutions are able to prevent malicious users from hijacking privileged credentials, bypassing the secure jump server and gaining direct access to critical system. Another feature is session recording. Once you have implemented session recording, it is very easier to implement additional controls and reporting for session being made by a privileged account to the target system. You can record and replay what sort of commands have been executed by the privileged account during each active session. And you can set up alerting, reporting for each specific keyword like delete, reboot, etc., or the target system account based on your risk requirement. And that can be, and that is typically required by any of the industry-wide GDPR, PCI DSS kind of. Praveen, am I audible?
Yes, Vijay, you are audible, and it's almost
okay,
time.
so
I want to dedicate about 5 minutes.
I'll move to the. I'll move to the slide number. I mean, you can skip the next slide and move to the next slide, the last one. Yeah. Just before. Yes. Yeah, so let me conclude the webinar with highlighting 3 guiding principles for implementing a CyberArk solution. So, it prevents credential theft. If an adversary has gained access to your network, it stops the lateral and the vertical movement. It also eliminates escalation of privileges. And these are critical steps to break the cyber kill chain and cyber attack. I hope the session was helpful. It gives there are additional details which you can refer to understand more on the CyberArk offering, as well as the reasons why we need to implement privilege access management. Yeah, over to you, Praveen.
All right, thank you, Vijay. The That was such a wonderful session, and I'm sure we cannot do justice in 45 minutes or about 30 minutes for the entire gamut of cybersecurity and privilege access management. But I'm sure this has given a good high-level overview of what passes and how organizations can benefit from it. So let's see, the questions that we have. So I have multiple questions on the group chat window and few questions in the private chat as well. So let me just take the questions quickly. So first question I would like to take is, somebody is doing CyberArk training. So what are the best uh, practices, and what do you suggest the best way to approach for the training?
Sorry, Praveen, can you please repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, the question is on CyberArk technologies training, Vijay. So the person is asking what is the best way to prepare and do those trainings and prepare for CyberArk technologies. Any best practices you want to share?
Yeah. So see, although on the if you go to the CyberArk training website, you will find a lot of resources available there. And when I say resources, so so there are practice exams which you can utilize. Um, there are um, there are question dumps, those are available. There are support guides, white papers which are available, which you can refer to. And I'm sure if you are, looking forward to get into this journey with the CyberArk products, so yeah, you need to go, step by step. The first examination is is the basic one, which is free from CyberArk also. You can attempt that. That will give you a good understanding of the CyberArk portfolio, and then based on your experience with that, you can actually progress to the next level of certifications and examination. But I think start with the CyberArk website, and but there are a lot of other resources which are available and accessible.
All right, thanks, Vijay. So I'll take just two more questions in the interest of time. So the next question is, can we have password rotation for Unix systems also?
Yes, that's possible with the CyberArk.
All
As I
right.
mentioned, that's one of the key feature, password rotation, and that can be implemented for these platforms as well.
All right. And I'll just take one more question. Is there any functionality to record and play back the privileged session?
Yes, as I mentioned in one of the slide, in the session management, yes, CyberArk provides the functionality to record any session which is initiated to a target system using a privilege account, and that session is stored as a video file in the CyberArk server, and that can be accessed and replayed during an investigation or for any other audit purpose.
All right, thanks, Vijay. Rest of the questions, probably we will put the questions in a FAQ and share the link with the attendees. Now, on the training question, I just want to add that the first level of exam for CyberArk Technologies, trustee exam, that's free for everyone, and anybody interested can take it. All right, let's move on. With that, let me quickly share the information about our upcoming webinar. So we all know with great power comes great responsibility, and inviting everyone to join us in our next webinar to know why. Please block your calendar for 26th June 11 a.m. For our next webinar, and registrations are already open. You can use the link given on the screen to register. Of course, we will share the registration link via email as well. Let me also take this opportunity to give you a quick introduction about Erasmith as well. Erasmith is a great place to work, certified organization, and ranked one of the top startups to work for in India by Great Place to Work Institute. We offer world-class customized solutions in IT consultancy and a range of services, which includes new age SaaS and cloud, cybersecurity, DevOps, custom application development, data center services, and many other, portfolios. At Erasmith, we also offer integrated services that embrace consulting, audit, development, implementation, and support of various businesses and IT applications. We will like to turn opportunities into value. That's what we want to bring on the table and provide end-to-end IT services and solutions. A quick peek with this slide into where Erasmith can help you or your organizations in your digital transformation journey. So if you have any of the areas here of interest, you can definitely reach out to us. With that, I would like to thank Vijay and all the participants for joining us today. Please feel free to reach out to our team if you have any questions for the presenter or on the topic for today, or for any of the services that Erasmith offers. We would be glad to answer them for you. And also, please do connect with us on social media to stay updated and get the information firsthand from the company. We are just over 2 minutes on the allotted time. And, I would like to thank on behalf of Erasmith, I would like to once again thanks everyone for joining us today. I'm sure this session and the time that you have spent today have added value and was worth it. And we do look forward for you to join us in our next webinar. Thank you everyone for joining, and this concludes our webinar for today. Have a great day and the rest of the weekend.
Thank you, everyone.